Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to the grand finale of the Back to School Confab. Hi Ugochi, how are you? Good evening. Thank you so much for being
Hi,
here.
Precious. Hi,
So
Precious.
can you
Thank you
hear
so much
me?
for inviting me. Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Oh, glory to God. So let's get straight into the discussion. Um,
Awesome.
Children have been away from school for over 5 months, and the back to school confab is essentially centered around bringing solutions to parents to help children transition back to school. Now, in previous times, while children are resuming school, there are no discussions centered around safety as it is today. Probably we'll talk about domestic safety, we'll talk about them not having accidents and all that. But today we have another perspective to safety, which is the pandemic we are in. All right. That is why we've invited you as a safety expert to teach parents on how to ensure that their children are safe before, during, and after school hours. But before we get to that whole gist, I would love you to introduce yourself to our guests, for people who are meeting you for the first time.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much, Precious, for inviting me. I love
We're
speaking to
happy to
parents.
have
I love
you.
speaking to educators because I believe that avoidable accidents can be reduced as much as is reasonably practicable. So my name is
Mm.
Ugochi Obidegu, but a lot of people know me as the Safety Chic because that is the brand I use to push out the safety consciousness and safety education messaging. So what I basically
Yeah.
do is I create products like behind me, my storybooks, on the other side, my safety posters. I create programs like our Train Them Young initiative, and we provide
Yeah.
policy advisory. Earlier in the year, we were able to make some insight into the national policy on school safety for Nigeria, basically to ensure that child safety happens, to ensure that school safety happens, to ensure that no child gets hurt in the process of being at home, at school, or even on the roads. So anything that works in these areas, I'm your girl. So basically educating people on how to stay safe in any of these circumstances.
That's beautiful. We're really excited to have you. I must say that. Thank you so much. You know the backstory to getting you here. So from here to everyone, I want to say thank you so much. This is an honor. So let's get to the gist. Why is safety important in this time? Especially when it has to do with children going back to school.
Okay, so prior to the pandemic, some people took safety seriously, but the majority did not think safety was serious
Yeah,
rather. But you see, the pandemic has now made everyone to see that
aware.
safety is so important and that just within a twinkle of an eye, people can just die. You can be here today and you are gone tomorrow. And that has
Mm.
increased that consciousness. Now people now know that, okay, this safety thing, it is serious. But taking it back to the main topic of today, which is children returning to school, the times have changed. Now, we do not want a spike. As a matter of fact, in some other countries of the world who have resumed school, they've had to also, some of them have had to shut down schooling because there was a spike in the number of students that got
Wow.
ill courtesy of COVID-19. And so it's really important that
Interesting.
we are playing a role. We are being more conscious so that our children are equipped and they are able to stay safe before, during, and after school because a lot can actually go wrong within that circle. So the main goal is to ensure that our children are able to stay safe and we collectively flatten the curve in the country.
Okay, that's interesting. I love what you said about people not making safety a priority. But right now, COVID-19 is like a wake-up call to everyone. There is need to have these conversations centered around safety. So that was a beautiful introduction. So before we get right into the before, during, and after, I would love to meet you as a person. What work have you done
Okay.
concerning the COVID-19? I know you're doing a lot around safety. What have you been doing concerning the COVID-19? In particular, the game you released with, I think, Niger Kids Can Code. I'd love you to talk about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Usually people wait to the end to ask us to talk about what we do, but thank you for
No,
asking
it's
me to
in
do this
line with
at the
what we are doing
beginning.
today. It's in line. So
Awesome.
I'd like people to
Awesome.
catch it on time.
Okay. All right. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I wrote this booklet. It's a small booklet, a story booklet on the coronavirus. So the name of my storybook is The Adventures of Muna. It's a series, but we had to write something on the coronavirus because we wanted children to understand it. And this came out, I think, sometime in May, because we didn't just want the children to just feel lost in the process. We wanted them to be
Yeah.
carried along because even the parents were not so certain. We didn't want the children to be left behind. And so we did this. So it's a storybook. It has puzzles. It has a question. It has coloring activity, just so that the information is available in a simple way. And we actually
Yes,
did
you
this
can
as a
understand.
CSR. Yeah, so it's available for free on my website for free download.
Oh
We
my God, that's
distributed, yes,
amazing.
we distributed
Thank you
1,000
so much.
copies in 6 states in Nigeria. But again, now that schools are about to resume, myself and Niger Kids, I reached out to her and I said, I think we should create a game. It's going to be interactive, it's going to be engaging, it's going to be fun. And she was like, good idea, And so we started working together. And we created this amazing game. Like even me, the day I was there, I was just smiling like this, like because the
Oh
demo
my
is
God.
so lovely. Because the truth
Wow.
is, for me, I believe that safety messaging should be provided to children in a simple way, in an interesting
Yeah.
way, so that they are having fun, but then they are
Wow.
learning in the
Getting the
process. Yeah,
knowledge. That's
exactly.
true.
So if you visit any of our websites, www.thesafetychic.com, you can play our demo. The demo was released on Friday, and you can play it and then pre-order the full game for just 500 naira. Again, we've made it so cheap.
Ridiculous. Oh my God.
Yeah, we've made it
That's
so cheap because the goal is we really want thousands of children to accept, and we don't want
ridiculous.
money to be the problem. Because a game
Yeah.
like that, if you see the quality of game we have put out, it's supposed to be more expensive. But because this is a
Wow.
pandemic, we understand the situation, parents are grappling with cost, but we just still want this knowledge to go out. So we have made it at the
Okay.
cheapest possible
Oh
level,
my
you know.
God.
Yeah.
Wow. So
So with
I'll be
just
sharing this with
500
the Parents
naira,
of Africa
you have access.
community. That's
Yes,
pretty
yes,
ridiculously cheap. Thank you
I'm
so much.
telling you.
So guys, www.safetychick.com. Go there, play the demo, buy the game. It's really so cheap. Oh my God. Thank you so
Yes.
much. On behalf of the parents, on behalf of the parents. Okay, so that when now that is aside, let's get to the safety measures before, because we have before, during, and after. So, what should we do, parents, educators, caregivers, before children get to school?
Okay, so I've put together this topic under three major topics, three major areas. Let me put it that way. Because if we're able to sort things out in these three areas, to a really large extent, would manage this. And the three areas are infrastructure, safety systems, and people.
Okay,
Infrastructure, safety
safety
systems, and
system
people.
and
Yes. So
people.
for before, I have what to say during, and then of course after. So let's talk about
Ah,
before. So for your
yeah.
infrastructure, what is even an infrastructure? Infrastructure is physical and organizational structures that are needed for
Mm.
operations. So in this context now of before school resumes, what are the things you should consider? So you ask yourself, how can I recreate the home environment to ensure
Mm.
that safety is going to be followed when school resumes? So you know
Okay.
that your children are going to be going out, and then they'll interact with people outside, and then they would come back into your house. How can you recreate your house so that, for example, the hand washing station is more accessible? So that maybe the first thing your child would do before entering the house is to wash that outdoor hands. So what can you
Okay.
do? Do you need to maybe set up a hand washing station outside your door, or do you need to have a sanitizer spot outside your door first? So that before the child would enter your house so you need to begin to ask yourself these questions that before this resumption would happen, you have to map out the whole thing. So what are you going to do in terms of that? What are you also going to do in terms of transportation? You see, many people
Yes.
go to school with school buses. Some others carpool with maybe their friends or their neighbors. Some others will go in
Yes.
public transport. In your own house, what is your reality? Depending
What's
on
the
that reality,
plan?
then you have to now create a system around it to ensure that nothing would happen to your child, either to or fro. So these plans
True.
must happen at the beginning. You must think wide. I know that many times, because we're in a religious part of the world, it's, God forbid, though, it's not my portion. Yes, we agree
Yeah.
with you that it's not your portion, but it's just
But there
great
has to
to
be a
think wide,
plan.
have the plan, because if there is a plan, if something happens, you know what to do. But if there is no
Yeah.
plan, you get confused. And that time you'll
Yeah.
be wasting thinking of what to do. Harm could have happened.
Yes,
So it
that's
is so
true.
important to have that plan in place. So your infrastructure for before is on point. Then the next one is now you have to create a safety system. What kind of, I know system sounds very big, so I'm going to make it as simple as possible.
That's
When I'm
please
talking
do.
about creating a safety system, what I simply mean is just create a simple safety plan that your children would be able to follow as school resumes. So, for example, we have all heard that before children are going to enter into the school premises, they must all be putting on masks, that schools must
Face mask.
have at their gate no mask, no entry. Considering that mask was not part of your preparation before, what system are you going to create so that wearing a mask is part of the things that the child will do every day? So
Yeah.
my advice to parents is pair these new safety activities with a normal activity they will do. So for example, you could
Okay.
say, once you pick up your school bag to leave the house, as you grab your school bag, the next thing you should do
You
is put
grab
on your
the
mask,
mask.
so
Yeah.
that your child now begins to associate wearing the school bag with wearing the
With
mask. And once you wear the mask, the next thing you're doing is you're going out of the door.
wow, that's
So that is,
interesting.
yeah. So when you pair a safety action with a normal action, make it's just like, when you're brushing your teeth, you have to brush with toothpaste, your toothbrush, and water.
What
You will not just brush only with the toothpaste. So it's the same
yeah.
thing. Pair those
I love
activities
soapy
together,
face.
normal activity and a safety activity, to make it easy. You could also say that
Easy.
when you return from school, the procedure now, because you plan, when you return from school, to ensure that we are keeping this house safe and we're not introducing outdoor germs into the home. When you return from school, if, for example, you are the one that you own your house, you could say at the entrance of the door, take off your outdoor clothes, your outdoor shoes there, and then, of course, you head straight to the bathroom and have your bath. But if you know that maybe you live with others, you could say when you step into the door of the house, at so and so corner of the house, take off everything, go to the bathroom, have your bath before you join the family. Just create a simple safety system that can suit your unique context. I always say to
Okay.
people that know the safety principle, but apply the principle to suit your unique context. So in this
Okay.
case now, because you can't just say, oh, this is how they are doing it in their house, we'll do like that in our house. What if the dynamics of their house is different?
It's
So
different.
exactly. So you must create those simple plans before school resumes. Now, the
Okay.
next part is people. So now you have your infrastructure, you have put these things in place, you have recreated your home, now you have added a safety system. This is how we're going to do it. People is the next thing. And in people, what are you going to do? You're going to train. It's not enough for you to have drawn it in your journal that, okay, the children, this is how they will do it, that is how they will do it. You have to tell them, because you need them to join you to make this thing work. And it is not just the
That's true.
children, every stakeholder. So if you have a nanny, if you have a driver, if you have a security, if
You have to
anybody
explain
living,
it to
everybody
them
has to be
too.
on board on the plan. So that training must encompass, what are we going to do for hand washing? What are we going to do for mask usage? What are we going to do for social distancing? Discuss the training. Now, it's not enough for you to just train them verbally. Another thing that would help is, after you train them, practice. Last week, I put out a post on my Instagram, and a parent commented and she said, my daughter said she's not even ready, that she's not ready to go to school. So what she had to do was she started rehearsing with her daughter. Okay, so we'll not be waking up, and let us start practicing how to wake up at this time. And they started and that is just so fantastic, because
A
the
good
truth
way to
is, children have been
transition.
out. Exactly. They've been out of school for almost 5 months now. So they are not used to doing things the way they used to do it. So you have to
Is to
bring
do
them,
it.
bring it back to their consciousness. And the way you will do that effectively is through practice. Otherwise, the first week of resumption is going to be a disaster. Everybody will just be running up and down.
Disaster. That's
They'll just be
true.
confused. Yes. So you need to do, and then the next one is get them involved in the learning process. We're still
Okay.
talking about people now, the stakeholders
Yes.
involved. When you get children involved in the learning process, it is easier for them to internalize it and own the process. And that's why
Mm.
this game we have brought out is just fantastic. So you have been telling them verbally, oh, you will wear mask, oh, you will do social,
And
oh, you will do
it's
this. Now,
literacy too.
in our game, we're not just asking you straightforward questions. We're asking you scenario questions so that the child can put themselves in that scenario. So you
That
are in
picture.
school, for example, and you want to eat. How are you going to eat knowing that you're wearing a mask? So you are in
Okay.
class now, or you need to play. What kind of play can you play that will encourage social distancing? So that the
Okay.
child can put themselves in that scenario and make the right choice. What that does for them is eventually when they resume school and they find themselves in those scenarios, it is easier for them to take correct action because they have
That's
practiced,
true.
they have owned it,
Yes.
they put themselves in that situation. And then the next one again under preparing is how are we going to boost the immunity of our children
Yes.
as they are going
And
back
yes.
to school? So it's not enough to have put all the safety systems in place. We have trained them. It's also good that their immune system is on point so
Are
that even if they
physically
pick up
ready.
something somehow, their body is able to fight it off naturally. And how can you do that? Balanced diet. As simple as that.
Yes.
You don't even need too much cereal. Just give your children good food. All this Indomie and egg that we do is not enough.
Mhm.
And yes, I'm speaking to a
Like
lot
if,
of parents right now.
can I say
This,
something? Can I say something, ma'am?
yes, please.
Interestingly, we had a doctor on here on Wednesday, and she broke this building children's immune function. She broke it down to the simplest way parents can ensure that their children are physically ready. So I think I love this part of boosting their immune system.
I'm telling you, it's so, so important because the truth is, no matter how much you love your children, you will not be with them 24/7. So you have to
Of
have peace of
course.
mind that even though they are not there with you, you've got your back covered. So
Yeah.
balanced diet, you could also supplements, vitamin C, just,
Water.
water, very important. Water, like water is so important. And then, of course,
Mhm.
exercising. Many of our
Yes.
children, maybe they have not exercised over
In
this
a
period they've
long
been at
time.
home. So we need to encourage that body movement and all that. So that is for before school resumes. So I talked about
Yeah.
infrastructure, creating safety
Infrastructure.
systems, and of course people.
That's interesting. Really, really. So I have a question before we move on.
I'm with you.
Okay. Now for people who have younger children, probably children between the ages of 3 who will be going to school, right? How do we teach them? How do we explain the face mark ish? How do we explain it to them for those
So,
younger children?
so the thing is, according to WHO, children less than 5 are not supposed to use face masks because they
Okay.
may not be able to pull it off themselves. They might suffocate, and maybe if there's no supervision, it can become a problem. So it's actually
Okay.
advised that for such children, younger children, alternative methods of learning should be provided. However,
Okay.
there are some school of thought that are also saying that where that is not possible, if you can be certain that you can ensure supervision of the child. Then the children can come, you that you're taking care of them, you can have your face mask on, but you'll be so hands-on, watching them and all that. But I feel like that is a lot of work because the truth is, many times things go wrong within seconds. It might be just that time you looked away or you went to ease yourself or you just went to do something. That's when something wrong can happen. So this is what WHO says. Again, I would advise everyone that know your context, take the guidelines
That's
and then see how to suit it into your unique context.
Hi, Safety Chic. Um, so sorry. There was a network glitch somewhere. Please
Yeah, that's
continue.
it. Yes. So I was saying that taking your unique context into consideration is so important. So yes, WHO has said less than 5 should not use masks. Some people have said, okay, if somebody can supervise them, they can use or not use. But the point is know your unique context. If your context does not allow you to be hands-on, to supervise, then it is dangerous to have the children, those less than 5, have masks on for long duration, because they may not be able to take it off by themselves, and it could lead to some sort of challenges. You are muted. Okay.
Please continue.
Yes, I'm done.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, please continue. I can't hear you.
Okay, so
That's the
should I go to
challenge.
during school hours?
Wow. I can't hear you, Ma. Please continue.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear. I'm trying to use an earpiece. Let me see if it will be better.
Okay.
Please hold on.
Because I can hear you clearly.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can
Okay,
you
I can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay.
Please continue.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, I had finalized on that question. I was saying that everyone should focus on what WHO has said, and then of course see how to make it suit your unique context. Because again, copy
Okay.
and paste is not going to work. Make it suit your
Yes,
unique context.
yes, yes, yes. Okay. So you've talked about the before. Let's go to the during.
Okay. So during, following that same principle, infrastructure, during school hours now, and for me, during school hours will start from the gate when you are
Exactly.
entering.
Yes.
Yes. So during school hours now, in terms of infrastructure, that would mean, what is the entry like for your school? Do you have
Okay.
gate? Is this gate manned? The person that is manning the gate, what has the person been equipped with the tools to comply with your safety rules? So, for example, we're
Okay.
saying that now before people would enter a school, they must have their face mask on. Do you have signs at your gate saying no face mask, no entry? We're saying that temperature checks should be done. Do your security personnel have the devices, those portable scanners to use
Can
to
they
check for
operate
the.
it?
Exactly, because one of our safety officers actually went to a supermarket, and the person just did like this on his forehead and removed it. The
Did
guy
he
did
even
not know how
check?
to use it. When he checked, he saw that the man did not even know how to use it. And people have been going in and coming out, and he was just doing on their forehead. Everybody would think, oh, they are doing well. Meanwhile, they're not doing the right thing. So it is so important that you have the tools, the infrastructure. If you are saying people should wash their hands before stepping in, we are also saying that have you provided the hand washing stations? So for
Yes.
entry, you must put all the things in place to ensure that entry is as safe as possible. From the
Yes.
signage, to the temperature checks, to hand washing stations. So that's for entry. Then for assembly, now we're saying that because of social distancing, if you have a really large number of students, you might not be able to have assembly. What infrastructure can you put in place so that assembly can still happen without your children gathered in a hall or on the assembly ground? Do you need to invest in maybe a public address system for your school? Or are you going to delegate that all teachers will get information from a central source and then disseminate in their various classes? So that is you putting
So
up your
decentralized
infrastructure.
assembly thing.
Yes. Then the next one
And
is
probably
break and
different
playground.
sections.
Exactly. I know a school that said they have a PA system, and once they just announce from somewhere, everybody hears it in their class. But that is not everyone's reality. So that is why
No.
you must know your own unique context and be sure that whatever you're putting in place suits that context. Then, of course, how are your classrooms arranged to ensure social distancing? Are you going to wait until the children resume before you would arrange it? Why not separate
Yeah.
it now? Discover if you have enough space. If you do not have, what can you put in place to ensure that spacing happens? So maybe either the staggered resumption or alternative learning. So these are the questions you have to answer when you're talking about infrastructure for during school hours. Now, moving on to the
Okay.
next one, which
Can
is
I ask a
creating.
question, Ma?
Yes,
Can I
please.
ask a question? So what's the cap for the number of students that should be in a class? What's the standard cap of students?
Some people would say 30, but the reason I can't just say 30 is because different schools have different class sizes.
Okay.
So again, it can't be a one size fits all. But we know that
Oh,
social distancing should be 2 meters, and some people will say a
okay.
minimum of 1 meter. So now using that as a benchmark, some people also say 6 feet. Using that as a benchmark, you would now arrange your classroom and know how many it fits, because some classrooms are
Depends
as
on the
long as a
size.
hall, while some classrooms
That's
are really
true.
small. Yes, so
Yeah.
make sure that you are making use of the measurements to determine how many can fit into your class.
That'll be in the class.
Yes.
Okay, please continue.
All right, so taking it to safety systems now. So you need to have a safety system for mask. What are we going to do about mask? What are we going to do about hand washing? So the children know that, okay, so every day when you come to school, at the gate, you are going to wash your hands. After washing your hand, you go to the class. When you get into the class, you are not supposed to leave except maybe you ask your teacher. Then when you want to go to the
Yeah.
toilet, make sure that your teacher knows. Go in those things have to be as clearly stated as possible. Create see, when we say safety system or a safety plan, people think it's complex. No, it doesn't have to be complex. Just something simple, little steps. And the reason you must have it is your defense. It is your defense for the day something goes wrong. Because if something goes wrong in your school and the government agencies come to check, you need to be sure that you have something to show that you have put the right systems in place. So,
That's true.
yes. And then, of course, you need to have a plan for frequent cleaning and how cleaning will be done. Because during school time, if before you normally clean once a day, because we are now aware that this virus can survive on surfaces for long times, some research say 4 days, some say 7 days. It's really important that
Wow.
you clean and disinfect more frequently. And cleaning is not just soap and water, it is soap and water, and after you disinfect, so
Okay.
that you are sure that there's nothing hanging anywhere, basically. So of
Yeah.
course, create that safety system. Your cleaners need to know that if, for example, they clean, after cleaning, this is the measurement of disinfectant that can be used. This is how to clean correctly in this new pandemic.
Be
After
trained.
cleaning, this is how to dispose of the dirty water. This is how to wash the tools you have used. Those plans should be created, so that there is not a
Yeah.
case of, oh, I didn't know, or that's not how we used to do it before. That is not the
Before.
case. If nothing else, the pandemic has given everybody on a level playing ground that we have to act in a certain way, as everybody knows that things are it's no more business as usual. Okay,
Yeah.
now after you have done your infrastructure, you have put the safety systems in place. Now people, so the people have to be trained on all these new things you have put in
Mm,
place. So you need to
that's
carry them
true.
along, because the children, for example, they know what they have taught them in their house, but now in the context of school time, they may not know
It's
what
very,
the teachers, the school owners have put in place. So you've got to,
yeah.
put that in place for them. So training must be done. Then you must create a system for monitoring and compliance, because
Okay.
again, some people are going to want to try you that nothing will happen, Jerry. I will not wear the mask, nothing would happen. You have to
Yeah.
create a system that if people do not comply, there is a penalty. If people
Oh
comply,
yeah.
there is a reward, so that you have a high compliance rate. This is
Yeah.
September 2020. Many people are no more using their mask as they're supposed to, because they feel it has gone. But it hasn't gone. We haven't gotten the all clear from the World Health Organization yet. Numbers are still rising. So why do we feel it has gone? And if we keep letting down our guard, things can go wrong. So you must
Yeah.
create a system for compliance and monitoring and communicate it to the people. Let people know that
Okay.
this is what will happen if you follow the rules. If you do not follow the rules, this is also what will happen, so that everybody is in tandem. And then, of course, get them involved. Then there was something that our safety professionals shared last week. I was on a session with some people from Harvard and other safety professionals from across the world, and they talked about ventilation breaks, because children are going to be
Okay.
wearing masks for long periods, right? You have to find a way to ensure that there is some break. And for that break to
Okay.
happen, that means you have to ensure there's cross ventilation in the classrooms. If there is cross ventilation, it is easy for anything that is not supposed to be there to, disperse,
Move
as
away.
opposed to it just being concentrated and hanging in the air. Okay, so
Okay.
ventilation breaks are important. Maybe an opportunity for them to space out somewhere on the playground, take off their mask, rest a bit,
Okay.
before they have to put it on again and then go back to class. But again, context is so important because these professionals who mentioned this, yeah, most of them were from developed countries, right?
Yeah.
We have to see, how does that work? How does that suit us in
Our
Nigeria?
environment.
Yeah, so that's that
Yeah.
about during school hours.
Okay. So I have a question, Ma. You talked
Yes,
about
please.
cross ventilation. So do you advise schools to use their air condition systems, or would you prefer open air, which is preferable?
Okay, so the advice that has been going around for now is cross ventilation with natural air is better than air conditioning for now.
Okay.
However, in a situation where
Okay.
cross ventilation with natural air is not possible, then you must ensure that your because some schools actually have central air conditioning, so you must
Okay.
ensure that your air conditioning system is cleaned and the filtration process is done more regularly than before, and that cleaning happens at that level. But
Okay.
what more people are advising is just open the doors, open the
Make
windows, allow it to be crossed. But where that is not possible, then that means your air conditioning must be properly cleaned, filtration must be done. You just have to go the extra
done.
mile to ensure that you're not recycling bad air.
Okay. So what's your word of advice for the teachers? So we've talked about the parents, you've talked about the school authority, the training. Now let's talk about the teachers who are going to be in charge of these children. How do they set up the structures?
Okay, so teachers must ensure that they do not die in the process. Because as much as you are in school to teach the children, you have a life to
You need
live.
to stay.
And we've actually gotten some information that children do not really fall ill like that to the coronavirus. It's more of the adults. So the
Okay.
adults should even take
That's good.
more care. So yes, we want the children to take all necessary precautions, but the adults need to even take more. So teachers, make sure that the students in your class are complying. If you are a teacher in a class where your children are always coming to come and tap you, auntie, find a way, create a simple system that they will not tap you anymore. Instead, you can do something as
Okay.
simple as drawing a circle on the floor in front of your desk and say, from today, if you would like to ask me a question, just step into this circle. Once you step into this circle, I'm going to
So
attend to
that's
you. So
amazing.
that's just going to,
Yeah.
yes, it's
And
going to
children really
reduce
love
all
those
the,
stuff.
exactly, yes.
That's good. Thank you so much. So we've talked about the during, the before, the during. Now let's talk about the after for parents and the school.
Yes. So after, during we talked about entry procedure. After, we're also talking about
Yeah.
your exit procedure. How are they living? So what systems have you put in place to ensure that leaving is not a problem? Because sometimes for children to leave school, their parents might need to come and pick them up, right? So how are you going to
Yeah.
ensure that these parents that you don't know where they are coming from, they're not
They're not
introducing germs into your
to your school
controlled environment?
environment.
Yes. So that means you're going to also make sure that hand washing stations, they use the hand washing stations, temperature checks are done for them and all that. Then also
Yeah.
you need to have plans for transportation. So when
Okay.
children are going back, if they're using the school bus, are you able to ensure that social distancing still happens in the school bus? How many school buses can you provide? Have you set a system that before they enter the school bus, a temperature check must be done before they get on board? And then, of course, when they get home, as they are getting to your door at home, what are the things that they must do so that they are not bringing their outdoor hands and outdoor clothes, which you are not
Oh,
sure what they have
okay.
picked up from the road, into the house?
Yeah.
So that's why at the beginning I spoke about having a system where when you come back, maybe you stand at the door, take off your clothes, and then head to the
Absolutely.
bathroom and have your bath. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you need to have an infrastructure around it. If it means, if as simple as even getting hand sanitizer at the door of your house, that can be something. If it's possible to have a
Yeah.
hand washing station at the door of your house, it is something, so that at least they wash their hands first. Then before they now enter, take off their clothes so that it can be washed and all those things. So that's for
Okay.
infrastructure. So for system, creating a system. So what is your pickup procedure? So if before, maybe the teachers, parents would drive into the school and then walk into the
That's
classrooms themselves, how about making it that when they come, they wait in their cars, the students are released to go and meet them? So that is why context is so important. How did you used to do it before the pandemic? The way you used
okay.
to do it, is it going to put your children at risk now that we are in this pandemic? What can you
Okay.
put in place to ensure that that risk is reduced? So create a simple system that says, depending on your context. So for example, instead of parents coming into the class, parents just stay at your
Children will be brought
maybe
to meet you.
at your car. Let us know which child you're looking for. We'll go get your child and bring your child to you,
Okay.
so that you are keeping
Yeah.
the environment as controlled as possible.
That's
Then
possible.
also, how can, and that helps to reduce traffic, so that you don't have too many people, walking in and walking out of the classroom. Because if, for example, a child comes down with COVID, how are you going to do contact tracing if you don't even know who entered where? So having that parameter is very important. Also, transportation. Are people going to be doing carpooling? So you can advise your parents. These are the steps to take to ensure that your child doesn't get harmed in the course of carpooling with a family friend or neighbor.
Okay.
And then, of course, your school bus and public transportation. Share tips with them. Every school at this point should be sharing safety information with their parents, so that their parents understand. They know what is obtainable, so that they can make the right choice. And parents, if you're the one that is more informed by your school, please by all means share with them. Because the truth is, we need both stakeholders to manage this situation well. We need our parents to be on board. We need our teachers to be on board. We need our school owners to be on board. We also need the
Okay, we're
children
back.
themselves to be on board. Because if all stakeholders are on board making the right decisions, it's going to ensure that our children are safe. Then the next one is training again. So you have created all these your safety systems for after school hours. You have to communicate it to all stakeholders. You have to reinforce it. You can reinforce with, for example, posters. I have posters on my wall. Have posters around the school premises to remind people to comply. Make sure that people are
Yeah.
practicing. And then, of course, supervision. Supervision is so important. You can't just give the information and then you go that, they will do it. No. Continuous supervision.
Yes.
I have to say at this point that people should not get tired. If you get tired, you are going to let down your guard. And it is when you let down your
Yeah.
guard that something can go wrong. In safety, we normally say that an accident happens when a chain of error occurs. But if you're able to nip
Okay.
it in the bud, it does not spread. So as much as possible, keep training, keep talking, keep sharing, keep reinforcing. Don't get tired. The pandemic is not yet over.
Over. Thank you so much, Ma. That was brilliant. That was brilliant. So I was about asking you a question on how school administrators can sensitize their parents. Well, I guess you touched on that, but I want you to talk about it in length as we round up, because we can assume that every parent understands these things. Some people, like, don't even believe that the pandemic exists. They think it's a political rally or something of that nature. So how can we sensitize and explain to these parents?
Okay, so I believe that parents should have a database of teachers, school administrators rather, should have a database of their parents. By now, you should have started communicating with them. In fact, one of the things I kept saying throughout the pandemic, because I did a lot of sensitization on social media, speaking on different platforms, I kept telling educators, be reaching out to your parents on a weekly basis, on at least give a every after a certain duration, reach out to them, share best practices with them, how to do remote learning at home. how to wash hands, how to do this, how to do that. Now, if you have established that rapport of always sending information, either on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis to your parents, now it will be so easy because your parents know that you keep sharing information with them. And when you keep sharing information with them, most especially now that we're resuming, tell them the systems you have created, let them know what you are planning to do. It makes your parents feel comfortable to send their child back to school. But if, for example, you've never said anything to them, you don't even know your plan for hand washing, you don't know your plan for sanitizing or disinfection, how are they going to be confident to send their children back to you? So school administrators must reach out to the database of their parents, let them know these are the structures we have put in place. If possible, share pictures, share videos of what you have done. Give them proof that for real, you are ready to protect their children as much as you can. It is so important.
Okay, so this is the last question. What questions do parents need to start asking the school administration as they prepare to send their children back? What questions should they ask them as regards to safety?
Okay, so they should ask them, what is the plan for social distancing? Are we going to have alternate days of schooling? Are we going to have staggered resumption? What exactly is the plan? Because when you know the plan your school has, then you too, you're able to plan to know how to fit it into your own schedule. So you need to know what the plan for social distancing is. How will the classrooms be arranged? How are they planning to do assembly? If your children go to school on a school bus, you need to ask, what is the plan for social distancing in the school buses? Yes. Then you need to ask also about assembly. How are you guys planning to do assembly? Okay, so they say we should clean and disinfect regularly. What are your plans for cleaning and disinfection? Do you have enough disinfectant? How can I help? Can I donate? Because the thing is, the work is a lot on the school administrators, the school owners. So parents can help. You can donate a carton of soap to your child's school. You can donate disinfectant to them to make their life a bit easier. You can donate sanitizer, whatever you can do within your power to make things easier. So ask these questions so that they would know. So what's your plan for cleaning and disinfection? Where do you need help? What is your procedure? If a child comes down with COVID in school now, what is your procedure? Do you have an isolation bay for your children? How is the isolation bay set up? What is your procedure that if children need to play, how are they going to play on the playground? When you ask those questions, it is making your school owner know that you are interested in the process. And ask them from a place of wanting to know and wanting to help, not from a place of wanting to criticize. Because the truth is, educators have been under fire this period. And anybody that comes across as critical, they will shut you up because they don't want that pressure. So you have to show that you are willing to help, you are willing to support. It will make it easier for them to want to work with you, take your advice, and take your solutions.
Okay. Oh, that was beautiful. I think we should be rounding up already. I wanted to talk about the game as we round up. Talk about the game. People who are joining us late.
Okay. All right. So we've just released a safety checkup game. Just where you go to the hospital for a medical checkup. So the game is called Safety Checkup. We want your children to check that they know enough on how to stay safe as they resume school. So this game, the full game is going to be released on Friday for just 500 naira. However, we have a demo that your children can play today, like now. All they need to do is visit www.thesafetychic.com. Chic is CHIC.com. And once you get there, you're going to see a button that directs you to the exact place for you to play the demo. So playing that demo is going to set your children in the context, ask them questions, and it's very interesting and fun. So even you as an adult, you can play it. Get your children to play it so that they can learn and be ready of how to stay safe as school resumes.
Okay, guys, please get that game. 500 naira is a steal. It is ridiculously cheap. Thank you so much, Safety Chic. It's an honor to have you here. We hope to have you return time to time in the Parents of Africa community. Thank you so much. Do you have any final words for us, Ma?
I'll just say that safety is our personal responsibility. And so we should not outsource it to someone else. Let's do everything possible to ensure that every decision we are making, we're looking at it from the safety angle. It is only when we make decisions from the safety angle that we're going to ensure that our children are protected and we, to the parents, we are protected by extension.
Wow, that was epic. And we've come to the end. Safety Chick, I said something that would love back in the Friend of Africa community when we launch properly. What do you have to say? I know I'm putting you on the hot seat, but what do you have to say, Ma?
Okay, I didn't hear that. The question, it was breaking. The network
Okay,
was
sorry.
not
I
clear.
said that from time to time we would love to have you in the Parents of Africa community to come and share more from your wealth of knowledge with us.
Okay, no problem at all. No problem at all. Just let me know. I'll just check my schedule and ensure that it's not clashing with anything else.
Yay, that's a win. Thank you so much, guys, for watching till this point. If anything got to you, please leave a comment. Let us know you learned something. And of course, what is knowledge without practice? Start practicing today. From Safety Chick and I will say bye bye. Thank you so much, guys. Good night.
Bye.
Bye, ma.